Okay, good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Well, welcome to Walk the Web. I'm Dr. Aaron Dishno, and today I've got a special plan for everyone. I'm going to give you a walkthrough and show you around all the different things we've got going in the works, and I'm going to show you where we're at, going to show you what it can do so far, and we're going to talk about some of the things that you can do in the future and what we're planning to do with it. So bear with us. We're going to hit quite a few different areas today. It's going to be a great overview, so hold on tight and let's check it out. So the first thing I want to talk about is when you first get it. If you'd like to download WalkTheWeb and you want to run it on your own servers, let's get started right there. First thing is on GitHub, we have a repository with under HTTP 3D. And WalkTheWeb is one of the items. And just a quick glance, we have separate modules for avatars, 3D shopping plugin. We're working on the 3D internet plugin, which will be released probably within the month, next month or beginning of the month, either way. Okay, we have some Blender avatars. We're working on putting out the Blender files for you so you can create your own custom avatars in the near future. But let's start with WalkTheWeb. So you come in here and you say, I want to run an instance of WalkTheWeb. You can click on the code, you can download the zip, put it in a folder, and then all you have to do, just like the instructions say here, is basically create a database, get a database password going in MySQL or MariaDB, and basically run these few steps. We have a little bit of a hint on the system setup so that you'll know to do the rewrite rule. We have a number of things that are controlled by the home page, such as if you have a different domain name or if you have different paths, and they automatically go to the home page, and then it gets basically converted into whatever, or loads whatever site you want from the index.php file. So with this right here, that'll get you to the index.php file with all the other paths, and they can be translated and broadcast the right page for you and everything. So that's all there is to the setup. So let's go ahead, and I want to show you in the database. I have a database called 3d.http3d_org, and there are no tables in here currently. Oh yes, there are. Let's go ahead and kill that off. Prove me wrong, right? We're going to drop the tables in this particular path. I'm just making sure I grab the right database here. Okay, now there are no tables in the database, and what I'm going to do is when you open this page, first thing you're going to get is not this screen. Just telling you. When you set up the site, one of the options that you have is under the config file, there's a sample page, and you can create your WalkTheWeb config page yourself manually. It allows you to, the server, you can set the server, your database name and your database user and your password. And then if you want to use a table prefix, which is very handy if you're going to put more than one instance in the same database, then you can instance them with this table prefix. By default, it's WTW_, so it gives you something to work with from the start. Dev mode, not even being used right now overall. It'll hide the in-column error messages and stuff as we're developing it, so you can change that to a 0 and it will stop doing that. We have the content path, which will get updated by the process when we run this file, and content right now you kind of have to leave it as the content folder underneath that site. I'm working on some things that'll let you map that wherever you want it to be. Okay, and we have default domain. That'll get filled in, so you don't have to worry about most of the stuff. If you started a file with just these items right here, you're good to go. The rest of this will get added by the actual program. So, and as you can see right now, the first, if you haven't filled out your database, the very first screen you'll get will be to fill in that database information and your table prefix. So I've already done that. It's already in my file, so I don't have to retype it and recopy passwords every time. So I'm going to start with username, and I'm just going to create a Dishno because it's my technically, and I'm going to give it a password and confirm the password. Next, I'm going to give it an email address. Now you can call your original site name anything you want, so you can type in whatever you want it to be, and also you can copy a Google Analytics ID into here. Notice that when you look in here, this is the format. That's that ID that you get when you create a Google Analytics account. It's free. You can set up the site to work as this path, whatever path you're going to use. I recommend that you start your sites with like 3D dot, just like you would www. Do 3D dot and then your domain name.com or whatever it is. It needs to be in this root site. It needs to be the root of its own site. Just that's the way we designed it, and that's the way it's going to be for now. We'll see about doing that as an update later to be able to do different subdirectories. But there's really not a need for different subdirectories because one instance can hold multiple sites. And that first subdirectory underneath the domain name is the actual community or area that you're working in. So we'll get to why that works and what it all means and everything else shortly. Okay, come on. There we go. For some reason my chat wasn't working this morning. Okay, we're back. Okay, so next we have, when you have the screen, you set up those things, you click save. It's going to, on this very first step, it actually creates your table in your database. So, oh, it didn't like what I did, so let me see what I did. Did it already create the tables? And refresh. Now it has the tables. When it loads that page, I didn't refresh this page, I already had it up on the screen, so it needed to create the tables first. And then we have, let's do some complex password, right? On a test site, yeah. Okay, so then when I click save, it automatically moves to the next screen. And what it's going to do is it's going to allow you to pick what you want your default scene to look like. We've created this new page. We've got a little bit of stuff in here. You got your Canal City block, which is our default kind of thing. We'll be throwing some more stuff in here, including some cityscapes and all kinds of cool stuff. But for now, I'm just going to choose this one. And when you select it, next thing it does, building scene. Now you can choose your building. Building from scratch includes the default foundation, so you kind of know where to build the building. But you don't have to use it. You can actually right-click it and delete it once you start. We'll go through some of that stuff shortly. You have a number of buildings out here that are available. It gives you some ideas of things to search for. Not all these are stores. Some of these are stores. Whenever you pick one that you like, all you have to do is click on it. And once it has that, it goes through and actually creates it on the server for you and sets it all up. Next, you can set your name. Okay, all this autofill stuff. And I'm going to set my display name. Oh, by the way, you can look around. So yes, you can look around before you even enter a scene. And then you can pick which avatar you want to use. So I'm going to pick an avatar. And I gave him a name. And it loads it up into the scene. And there it is. It updates the display name on the bottom right. By the way, just so you know, the display name... Oh, okay, so you can't see that when I'm on the... when I've got that there. So there you go. Now you can see it. The code name, it'll show your display name on the site, and you can also get back to your profile here, which allows you to customize, edit your profile if you want to change anything that it says here. It will also, you can change your avatar, and you can also edit your avatar right here. So we do have some options in that place. One of the latest things, let me show you the edit avatar piece. This is kind of cool. You, of course, have the name, so you can change the display name of your avatar. You can change your avatar that you're using. Avatar colors. Now, colors has a pretty unique feature. First of all, you can click on whatever item you want to change, and then you can come in here and modify whatever it is. The other thing is it has diffuse, which is the inherent color of the object, and then it has the emissive color, which is kind of like putting neon on something. It's actually going to be the color that comes out. So if you pick a color, see how we can make it be basically neon all the way down to barely anything or even none with the black in the bottom right corner. But each one of these items are different parts of his body. So you can click on, for example, the pants, and now you got the bottoms down here. And you can say, okay, I want him to wear blue jeans, so let's give it a little bit of a blue color. And you can do it as much or as little as you want. You can also set the diffuse color, which is the inherent color of an object, and you can kind of mess around with both those different shades of colors and get it to right where you want it to be, whatever shade of whatever you're going to do. And it just keep in mind that it uses the original image and then it superimposes the color on top of it. So if you have a pink shirt on and you try to make it white, it's going to come out pink. And it'll blend with the colors that you're mixing up to a degree. So I'll move it around in here, pick which colors you want it to do. The other part is avatar animations. You can pick your avatar and you can say, okay, what's his walk? His walk is really casual like that. If I click edit, it gives me a choice of any type of walk we want him to do. So you can have a fast-paced walk. It'll load up, and each one that you click, it'll load up the item and it will show you what they do. Is it going to play nice today? There we go. Okay, so we got the happy walk. We have catwalk. We have beast walk. We have the dizzy walk. We have the limp walk, where he's dragging his foot behind him. We've got a sad walk. We have the sneaky. We have the strut. Yeah. And we have a swagger walk. Yeah, that looks cool. When you're done, you click save. You can do this for walk backwards, turn left, turn right, strafe, run. You can do it for any one of these objects. It'll show you what they're currently doing. If you click edit, then you can click whatever you want it to be. No. Long distance runner. Long stride, so bigger steps. Yeah, kind of looks pretty cool. They also have like a fast run, make them go really fast. Just depends which one you want to do. Pick which one you like. And when you say save, it'll save all your settings of your different thing. And then when you say save and continue, it'll load it back up into the scene with all of your latest settings. So it'll modify here. Notice that there's a little transition point. This is something we'll work on in the future, but it's loading the new ones, so it's already taken out the old animations until the new avatar shows up. That's something we'll transition. Now, when you're in multiplayer, it doesn't show this to the other person. They basically still see you walking around because we haven't affected what they're loading. And then, of course, here we are with our new colors and our pick choices, whatever we do, and now we're walking in the scene. Okay, so another thing, that is this scene up and running. Now, once you've gotten this far, you already have your avatar, your default avatar. You're using local logins. You're using, basically, you've got the building that you chose and it's set in the scene that you chose. So now you've got the start of something bigger. Okay, the next thing is to check out the admin functionality. Okay, notice that as we walk up on items, the store displays show up. As you walk up closer, different things on the outside show up, for example, the bench. And when you walk near doors, they'll open up for you so that you can walk through. You can go inside, you'll be able to go shopping. This particular store has not been linked to an online store, and that's coming this month. So we'll have that in here. And then you'll be able to connect it right up to your 3D, well, right now we're doing WooCommerce in WordPress, and later we'll add other versions. But currently that's the one we're going to hook it up to. So you can actually have a 3D store up and running in less than 5 minutes, as you can see, even from what I've done here. Okay, so the next thing is take a little tour around the different stuff here. First things first, this is your profile, and as you can see, I went through edit avatar, log off. You can edit your profile of what the information you store in the database on your computer. It hasn't gone anywhere else other than your server. And then we have the settings tab. This one will let you choose, for example, which camera you want to use. That we're working on first person, so don't worry about that too much at this point. But notice this second part, 2D view. We have 3D glasses with the anaglyph, which is the red, blue, or red cyan glasses, and that'll show you the poor man's 3D, as I like to call it. You can also switch to VR headset, and you're automatically up and running with VR headset. We also have VR headset with the gamepad, so it does give you the gamepad support. Babylon released a number, just a few months ago, whatever, a year ago, whatever it was, I don't know. But Babylon released a number of updates, and they put in specific designs to show you what an Oculus, what a Vive, what a, you know, and like 8 different particular 3D glasses and their settings that would make them run perfect in here. I haven't added them to here yet, but they're up and coming, and I'll get them out here. The other thing we can do, I'm going to switch back to 2D view just for now, just because, you know, not everybody out there is wearing the 3D glasses, but I wanted to show you that's as easy as it is to make it in 3D and walk around in your scenes in 3D. This camera distance is kind of cool because you can follow your avatar at any distance you like, including in front or behind him. So it gives you a kind of a bird's eye view, or if you like to be zoomed in closer, you can pick what exactly distance you want it to be for your avatar. So if you like a bigger scene view, you can do that. Now, speaking of scene view, the second thing is there is a second camera, and you can turn it on and it'll show up in the top right. It has a scene camera, first person view, a self camera so you can look at yourself while you're walking around, and it is live and it is connected to the whole scene. So you can turn that on, you can use it you know, to view what you're doing as you're going and everything else. Just letting you know, we do have a scene camera and it is available. There's a couple other helpful things. We have a compass, and this kind of helps out, especially when you're in different scenes. Across the bottom bar right now, what we're showing you is this is the city that you are in. This is the community, as we call it, the scene. And this is the closest building to where you're standing currently. And notice the arrow on here will always point to whatever the current building is down here. So as we walk around, notice it's telling me, hey, turn left, it's behind you. If I go this way, now it's completely behind me. Now it's on that side. And it's basically pointing you in the direction till it's perfectly forward, right to the center of the building that you're heading towards. And that'll always tell you the closest building to where you're going and identify what it is before you get in there. So that's a little feature down here. This button I'm going to ignore for now because we're doing some revamp on that, but it does show you additional animations that you can make your avatar do, so including dance moves and all kinds of cool stuff. We'll re-implement that. We've got a couple things we're changing on it, so right now it's probably disabled. The next thing, for all you programmers out there and everything else, you can have the mold count in FPS frames per second showing. I'm going to turn off the compass. It doesn't matter. You can have it on or off. No, I didn't. Huh. Okay. Yeah, so we've got that. Okay. And let's see. So now we're doing the rest of the stuff here. Okay, so mold count, if you bring that up, then it will give you how many molds are currently loaded to the scene and frames per second currently running. I want to let you know that, yes, this thing will do 60 frames per second. There is nothing holding it back other than the amount of stuff that it loads in the scene. Also, the frames per second is, like right now, I'm streaming while doing this and still pulling off a smooth frame count, a smooth movement, and everything else. So it's running well. Even though numbers are showing, they're showing everything from 17 to 19, 20 right now. They are running actually pretty quick, and I think that's just because I'm streaming, because normally I run around 30 when I don't have anything else loaded or so. But that's really up to your graphics card and your graphics settings. Right now I'm running on the default Intel chip on my motherboard for the video, so the streaming requires that. So otherwise, if I kick in the NVIDIA stuff, then I run around 60 frames per second on these scenes. Okay, but that's one way that you can tell. Now also notice that when I get farther away from that building, for example, I'm just going to kind of back myself up here, and see, when you get far enough back, I'm going to walk right off this edge. Notice that the building disappears. That's part of the thing, and notice the frame count went down to 83. By the way, the frame count is counting my own avatar too, and any other avatar that looks in the scene. And so it does show you the current frame count at any point as you walk around in your scenes. Now this part of loading and unloading is actually this is WalkTheWeb. This is the browsing. Because by unloading certain things when you're far enough away, you can actually reload things as you get closer up. It allows you to kind of be regenerative, and that way it only loads so much in your memory at a time, allowing computers with less graphics ability to still be able to browse and walk around in scenes. If you have great graphics ability, then it loads faster and runs faster, and everything runs smooth. See, we're walking up on this building, and notice no lag, nothing. I walk up on the building and I can go right into the door, and now I'm inside this place, and I can walk around. I can leave, and it loads and unloads without losing any quality of what it's doing. Okay, so that allows us to display things that you're close to, things that you're away from, and I'll get more into that little section in just a few minutes. Also, if you're running first person, there's sometimes where you want some arrows or something to show you where the center of the screen is. It helps you guide when you're walking into doors, because if you see it off to the side, you'll end up missing the door. So there's just some arrows. Those are kind of legacy, still holding on there. Some of the new stuff we're doing kind of defeats the purpose, and you don't really need them. Another thing that's really cool is you can adjust your movement speed. So right now, watch this. I'm going to walk. I'm going to hold down shift and walk as fast as I can towards this wall. Notice the speed I'm traveling, okay? I'm going to back up, and holding down shift again so I can go kind of fast. Now, watch this. I'm going to turn up, and this is two cases. One is the animation speed of how fast his avatar moves the animation, which lets you adjust the animation with the movements so that they kind of look good together. Also, the walk distance traveled. Now, when I walk, notice he's kicking butt. He's moving across the scene. This is moving really fast. Everything looks good, and we're really moving. So you can adjust these to whatever speed you think is comfortable and whatever looks good with your avatar. And my tendency is that you can also adjust the turn speed. So like if I rotate around, notice how I'm rotating around, and this is how fast it turns. I can actually change the animation and the turn speed, and we can make these where he whips around really quick. So adjust it for your comfort. I tried to set them by default in an area where they would feel pretty good to a lot of beginning users and everything else. So if you're a pro, if you've been doing this for a long time and you want to crank it up, go for it. There's a lot of room on the controls to crank up the speed. And the next thing has to do with graphics quality. By default, it's optimum balance of graphics. What this means is, as you're building things and I tell it, hey, put a 4K graphic on this item, put a 1K graphic or 2K graphic on this other item and stuff, when you leave it as optimum balance, it'll do the way I intended it to work, okay? If your computer's real slow and you're having trouble loading things, or let's say you're working on a cell phone where the pictures are real small and you don't need 4K graphics to load to make it look good, you can click it to lower, and it'll basically only use 512 by 512 graphics in your scene. That way it loads fast. When you're looking on a scene that's only this big on your iPhone, for example, or your cell phone, that size 512 by 512 in an area that's this big of your screen is actually really high quality graphics, so you don't really have to worry about it too much. So you can go to lower and it won't load the higher end graphics. Now, in opposition to that, if you click higher, it will force everything in the scene to use the original graphics, which means that everything that's set for 4K, or if I loaded a 4K graphic when I did it, you're going to get those items. So if you have supercomputer, your computer's running really smooth and you like the way it's working, you can click on that to crank up the graphics and do it. I kind of leave it on optimum because I want to make sure that everything runs as fast and smooth as possible. We also have some shadow quality. You can turn it down if you're on a slower machine, and there's a medium setting. But basically it decides how many things have shadows, what items will have shadows and what items it's not going to try to add shadows to. It's just a way to try to make it where if you have a slower computer, you still have a chance of making this work good. And then of course we have a sound mute, which is also on the bottom bar. So when there are sounds in the scene, you can actually mute them or turn them on, easy enough. And that's the browsing side of things. Now down here we have admin home. So when you are doing this, one of the options you have, okay, I'm just going to keep my same avatar for now. Ignore the update. We'll get to that kind of stuff in a few minutes. But one of the things we do is we load up an admin that kind of resembles WordPress. If you're not familiar with WordPress, WordPress is a genius app that basically says, I can help you create a website. And what they did was they created these things called plugins, and for each plugin, it gives you functionality to your website. So you get this basic shell of a website just by loading WordPress. And then as you do things, as you need additional stuff, let me show you. Like this example, this is just a sample store, a sample app downloaded right from WordPress with the default layout and everything else. I mean, I really didn't put any time into this. I used WooCommerce and turned it on, and here's the sample products from WooCommerce. Now, this is the website people would see. Now, this bar up on top is actually the admin bar. So when you click on this and you go back to see the back end, you can actually see the different plugins that are created. Each one of these items, there's certain ones that come by default. So you have like your posts when you do your blogging, and you have pages, and you have a media library. And those items are default for every user that has WordPress. And you can create a new web page just by clicking Add New, type in the name of a web page, and you're up and running with a new web page, and you can put your own content on them. It'll add them to your menus automatically. There's all kinds of automated things to make it easy to create a website. Now, I'm not doing this just for the plug of WordPress and the genius of the concept, but one of the things it has is plugins. And when you look at your plugins, what it does is, if I say, for example, I want a web page with a photo library, I can add a new plugin, do a quick search, photo gallery, for example, and it'll search their thing, and it'll basically show you, look, here's some photo galleries, and you can come in here, look at more details, decide if that's the one you want. They have some screenshots to show you what it's going to look like and some of the configuration that you have. Gives you installation instructions, description, everything. And if you decide you want it, you just click Install Now, and now it's on your machine, and you can now use that photo gallery on a web page. It's that simple to implement new functionality on here. Well, WalkTheWeb, I did the same thing. I wanted the same concept, but apply it to games. So when you run a game on your server and you run it on your website, what we've done is, first of all, we have a dashboard where it tells you how many sites you have and different things. We have a media library where you can upload different files and images. You have some different objects that are already in here for you to use on scenes. You can also, remember the initial scenes? You can go communities, buildings, and things, and you can download different items that you didn't pick on your original install. So you can come in here and search for different things and say, oh my gosh, I want one of these, and see if somebody else uploaded one. Click a button and download it and add it right to your scene. So there's a lot of stuff that you can add and remove immediately into your stuff. We've separated into 3 parts. Your communities are basically the scene. So we have a scene that we created called Canal City Block. If I click on that, I can actually edit it right here in my scene. I'm walking around in it. Well, I'll have to automate that so it keeps your same avatar until you choose a different one, but it's work in progress, right? Okay, so we get that initial scene that we had before, but the difference is now you're in edit mode. So you can go, for example, options and settings and say 3D community information, and I can rename this scene, which will rename what shows up down in the bottom bar here. So we'll just call it Aaronland. Okay, close enough, right? You can add in a Google Analytics ID, so if you didn't add one before, you can type it in now. You can also do some alt tags, which when you highlight over things, they'll say certain things. That's just extra help for people that, for ADA compliance and stuff, and we'll get to some of that stuff later on. But you save that, and it'll use the new name immediately. Also, here's a helpful thing. When you come into the scene, let's say I build some new buildings and I go, hey, I want to start right in front of this place, or I like to start from this angle where you can see more stuff, or I want to come in, when I start the scene, I want to be right here, for example. All I have to do is say set starting position, put my avatar where I want him to be, and say use current position. Now he's at that new location. That's all it took. And now everybody that comes into the scene will be in this position looking that direction. There's a little variance on that within a 10 unit of that particular item, because if multiplayer, 10 people come into the scene, they'll stack, if it's a perfect lineup, it'll stack one over the top of each other. So what I did was I did a random number within that area, and they'll end up within, somewhere within about a 20 by 20 block with, you know, centered on wherever you picked. So give it enough room and you'll be just fine. We have gravity settings. So if you want to do a space scene, we've got some stuff to support you. Permissions, you can set it so others can help you work on sites. There's all kinds of cool stuff in here. You can also share your items. So once you get an item built, you decide, hey, I want to be able to share this item. This is kind of cool. You can even create a new default snapshot, and it will load up the picture that's in the current scene, load it up right here. And now you've got the new snapshot that goes along with your scene. There's some tricks to that. I can show you some more later. There you can do descriptions. You can put in some search tags to help people find your scene depending on whatever it is. So there's some really cool stuff in here. You can also copy this scene so that you can make some changes to it and call it by a different name. Real simple, real easy to use. The other part is Edit 3D Community. Now this is where you can actually make some more adjustments to your scene. You have the ability to do everything from, I want to put a box right here. Boom, there's a box right there. You can adjust the height of the box. You can adjust the position. You can, in XYZ variables. You can change the scaling in different directions. You can change the rotation in 3 different directions. Put it anywhere you want it, any direction you like it to be, whatever it is. You can put your different objects in here. You can change your colors just by clicking on it. And you can set everything from the diffuse color like we had on the avatar to the emissive, which is your kind of your neon glow from it, so it can glow in the dark basically. You have specular color, which is the bottom side or the back side of objects that aren't getting that are getting shadowed, and then you have the ambient color, which is also picks up the lighting from the scene. So like if you had a sunset, you could reflect that lighting into your objects. You can do some really cool stuff with this. For example, create a duplicate item after you've saved it once. You can actually create a duplicate item and it'll make it a second one. There's some advanced options. This is where it gets a little more into it, and I'll talk about this part later, but you can actually set how far away you are before this item loads in your scene. There's textures. You can change it instead of a color. You can change it to a textured surface, which will blend the color with the texture. And you can come in here and say, okay, change texture. I've given you some default images from stock, so you can pick one of those, or you can pick something of your own. We have everything from mapping the offsets and mapping the, you can set a transparency. So if you don't want it to be fully transparent, you want it to kind of, show through it and be there, you can do that. Scaling the texture on the surface. You can scale the texture in multiple directions so you can make sure that it looks the way you want it to. You can also merge shapes. You can take one shape and cut it out of another shape. So there's some really cool stuff here. You can also append 2 shapes together, or you can show just the intersection of 2 different shapes. So that becomes really cool for being able to cut items out of other items and all kinds of fun stuff. Okay, and when you're all done, you click Save Box. Now that's in your scene. And as you notice, you're walking up on it, and guess what? Can't run through it. There's tools for setting things like web objects. These are the more complex objects. You can load a Babylon file, which is right out of Blender. You can use the Babylon exporter and take anything that you can put in Blender. You can export them, including the animations, right to Babylon files, and you can put them right into the scenes. Babylon also supports object files directly, MTLB, GTLB, and GLT files, whichever. There's certain ones that Babylon supports natively, so we can also do those. But all you have to do is, hey, I want to put a Babylon file in here, select my 3D object. I gave you some to work with to get a start, but there's more stuff you can add later on. Let's see, let's pick, including the old canal. We can add another piece of this canal city if you wanted to. Let's add just a park bench for now, just to do it. And when I do that, notice right here, it's going to load up a park bench. Hello. Come on, don't prove me wrong. There it is. Okay, and once you get it, you can scale any object that you add in a scene. You can scale it to make it whatever size you need it to be. Make it fit your scene. You can rotate it, you can position it, and you can put them in your scenes. So it's real easy to get items and say, okay, I want it to be here, I want it to be this direction, and you can put anything from Blender into here. So think of it as a way to, and you can also decide how far away you want to see it. So if you want to be able to see it a little farther away, you just put high, click save, and it's on there. And any object can have sounds. So when we're working on this object or even that object, when I come down here, one of the things I can do is say, I want to add sound, make it linear, and you can attach the sound, select a sound right here, and now that object in your scene will produce a sound. It'll be louder when you get closer, and it'll be quieter as you get away, and the max distance tells it how far you can hear it from wherever it's at. It's also in stereo, so as you rotate and turn, you can hear it from different angles and directions. So you can put a box that's invisible, for example, hidden under the ground if you wanted to, and put a sound in it, and it would just make it sound like the scene has some type of sound coming out of that area. So there's all kinds of cool stuff we can do. I'm going to cancel that for now, and we have these items. In the scene, any item that you decide you want to edit, all you have to do is right click it, and it brings it back up in the editor. So really cool, makes it real easy to work with. Now, one of the things is, so we have communities, we have the buildings that we put inside them, and they work pretty much the same way as the communities, and then we have things which are like the park bench, where you want to put something in the scene, already prepared, already scaled, already ready to go. Then you can actually use different things, and you can drop them into your scene. So, hey, there's a dock post, there's a wooden park bench, there's with the trash can. These are the posts right here, these are in the scene already. You can grab that and add another post if you wanted to, or you can right click on one of those and remove it from your scene. And last, okay, so you've got these different pieces, and you can drop them and mix and match and put together your own scenes that you want it to be. Above and beyond that, we have 3D plugins. Taking the concept of what WordPress does for websites, we're applying it to games, which means you as programmers can create your own plugins that work with this whole concept, this whole scene. So what happens is when somebody says, I want to create a game, instead of starting from scratch, you can start with WalkTheWeb, which gives you the gaming engine, multiplayer, bunch of avatars, logins, basic scenes, basic buildings, things, anything you want to drop into a scene, and then all you have to do is write the plugin for the code for the game you want to create. So you don't have to start at square one. You can actually start right where you're at. You can actually create from here, say, I'm going to build a paintball game, and that's what you do. You build a paintball game, and it'll be a plugin so that anybody that wants to say, I'm going to add a paintball area in my game, in my program, in my screens, on my 3D website, they can drop the paintball game right into the scene, and now they're playing paintball when they walk into that area. That's the power of doing plugins in a game mode. So just like WordPress, we have these various plugins, and all you have to do is turn off and on which one you want. You can activate or deactivate, and you can turn on functionality just by doing that, and it works on the website. We're doing the same thing by activating and deactivating different code into that server. So if you want cars and you want to be able to drive them and hop your avatar into them, if you want to play miniature golf, if you want to play paintball, if you want to drive boats, whatever it is, or if you want to create different avatars for your scenes, if you want to, the 3D shopping, you want to create a 3D store for one of your customers, build it in Blender, drop it in one of these scenes, and they've got a whole product that takes care of the customer being able to edit and do the content of their site without having you to do all that coding to make it so that they can update it. Awesome stuff. This is becoming a development environment and a tool for developers to jumpstart into creating 3D scenes and 3D shopping stores, 3D games, and everything else using a common standard across the board, and making it where instead of focusing all your time on all these other things you have to do to create a game, all you have to do is focus on what your game component is going to add to the gaming scene that already exists. That means anybody that has customers, anybody has somebody browsing and seeing their website can basically take advantage of those people and put a game out there for them. Draw more attention to your site, and then sell them t-shirts in a 3D store. Whatever you want to do, you can actually put these different pieces together. So we have 3D plugins. We have your users, so you can actually check up on whoever your users are. They create accounts. You can give some different user roles so that they can help you develop on the different sites. You can set the site permissions on the whole server so that you can have a developer that helps you build things. You can have graphics artists that help you in the media library and create different textures and different things you can use. And then you can also have individual, like I can give access to a user to be able to edit one building, and that's all they can touch. They can't touch anything else. So it's notice that when we have this community loaded in options and settings, you can go permissions, and you can actually say, I want this one user to have dev access, add to user, boom, they'll be added onto here, and now they have access to edit this community and work with you on it. So you have granular positions and global positions, or permissions. Okay, so we also have some developer tools that will help you work in these sites. One of the things you can do is you can turn on with the developer tools, you can turn on and off things. One of them that's very helpful is wherever your avatar is, it decides what gets loaded. So notice when I walk up here, it's loading up the different things that are inside the building. I can actually detach the camera from my avatar and get some bird's eye views, take snapshots of the scenes. I can see what's going on. I can see if everything's placed right. I can move things around while I'm in this view. I can edit items, like if I click on that, now I can move this building and I can say, oh, I want it front and center. I want it to be a little bit closer to where the docks are so that I can put another building this side of me. That's the kind of stuff that you can do when you're moving around these things. You can actually set right where you want to be, and you can move things around while you're viewing from an upper view. Allows you to connect and disconnect from the avatar. The other thing is if you have a lot of objects in your scene, sometimes you want to be able to see what you're clicking on, what you're highlighting. So there's this focus on. When you move over something and you're seeing, there's certain pieces. Okay, there's certain things that are relevant to what we're doing right now, like this. So there's certain things that can be moved in a community. Others are like this other piece over here. There's certain things that are part of this community and certain things that aren't at this point. This is a building in the community, so you'd have to edit the building, not the community. So there's certain things that will highlight and focus and kind of give you an idea of what you're highlighting. It helps when you have a lot of things close together and you want to see what you're picking up. So we have some tools like that. We have merged on and off, so if you merged a couple shapes, it'll show you the shapes that were cut out of other objects, so you can click on them and edit them. Zones, these are the load zones. So here you go. This tells you when you walk inside, for example, this box, when your avatar walks inside, it tells it to load different objects. You walk inside this box and all the close things get there. Now let me just kind of give you a demo of that. I'm in this box right now, and watch when I walk out here, notice there's nothing inside the store. Yet there's a box that is right, you can see the edge of it right here. Okay. When I walk inside of that box with my avatar, second I get inside, it starts loading the different objects that are inside. Now it spreads it out over multiple frames so that not too much loads in any one frame, which keeps it from lagging and also keeps it from, from stalling while you're actually loading and stuff like that. So it spreads them out over many frames so that you get different things as you go and you don't get a lag. That's the point of loading things one after the other. There's other zones. For example, when I walk inside of this box right here, it tells it, I'm inside the box, open the door. Then it turns on the animation, opens the door, and holds it open. If I walk outside that box, now all of a sudden the animation's off. These are what we call action zones. Every one of the action zone is, if I'm in this region, in the scene, I want it to do this. Now there are some that don't have boxes. You can just say, here's a globe, make it spin all the time, or a ceiling fan inside this building, make it spin the whole time, and it will. You don't have to have things where it's triggered by something else, but if you want things to be triggered, for example, I walk in here, now all of a sudden those things inside here load up, then you can. I walk closer, the door opens, and notice there's other objects inside the scene that just loaded. I go inside, I'm all good. I walk close to this door, it pushes that door open. Notice there's a whole triggered amount of events of different things that happen depending on where you are in the scene. Notice that this, you can have different things all over the place. There's a different box that's going across over here. That loads up different objects when you walk inside of this box. There's different things triggered by different places of where you are in the scene. But that's just the concept of what they are. So we have action zones, and you can add. I got a load zone, I want to do a sliding door, I want a swinging door, I want click activated door, I want to rotate something, I want to load animations when I'm in that section. So let's say I'm going to play a miniature golf game. When I walk inside that section, it'll load miniature golf game to my avatar. And next thing you know, I have it, I'm good to go, and I can basically walk around and do what I want while I'm in that scene. For example, I walk up to a game of golf, all of a sudden the avatar knows how to do a swing. It knows how to do a putt. It knows how to do a victory dance. I can load those animations on the fly just by walking in a region. Let's say you created a soccer field. When I walk in, I can know how to kick the ball. I can know how to block the ball. I can know how to header it. I can know how to defend somebody else. You can have all these animations in place, and then depending on where you move in relation to other avatars, or if you're getting close to the ball, or if you click, a button on the keyboard, you can tie things up to different events in your game coding, and they would automatically play that animation and run that event for you. So the whole thing has all these different pieces. The last one from this little quickie editor menu is when you click on something and you tell it you want to edit something. So let me get to one of these objects that are in my scene right here. If I click on this, I just clicked on the whole scene. Okay, so right now I'm clicked on this scene, and so it puts up these little guide things to tell me XYZ coordinates. Here, I'll back off of it so you can really see them. Okay, so it has XYZ coordinates of where this is at, so you can kind of pinpoint the center of different objects and stuff. Depending on what you're moving, like if I'm moving this building, see, now you can see X, Y, and Z coordinates. And you can kind of go through, with using that, you can move it around in these different directions and everything. Okay, so you have that, but let's say you're working with small objects and those lines are getting in the way. All you have to do is click the button here and it'll turn them off, but still be editing that object. It does help decide which object you're clicking on and show you which way which ways you can move it, and if you rotate it and different things. It helps you orientate things to where they are. It helps you guide, like if you're trying to get something directly on the ground, you can see the ground position, or if you're trying to put something over the ground. When you're looking in 3D, it's really hard to tell where it is above the ground. So these little coordinate systems, these little grid lines, actually help line up things above the ground and be able to see where you are, so that you know position-wise, XYZ, where you're actually putting something. So you can turn those off and on from there. If I click back here, now I'm back on the avatar. And if you cancel with this arrow up on top, or there's a cancel in any one of those screens at the bottom, you can actually turn off those items. Now, once you've done all those, here's another little helpful hint for programmers. If I come in here, one of the things I can do is list loaded objects. I can click on any one of these and it'll put a list up in the console of the browser, and it'll tell me what's in the scene. So we have current meshes, and it'll give me a list of every one of those meshes that are currently loaded and what their names are. So we have everything from the ground itself, the avatar, my avatar, other avatars if they're in the scene, connecting grids, action zones, and then building molds or community molds or thing molds. So you can actually see what each part has. When you look at a name of an item, it'll tell you what group they're from, which is pretty much matching the tables. So thing molds, community molds, building molds, action zones, and connecting grids are going to be the main ones. The number after that is the instance, which means if there's 5 of the same object in the scene, each one has their own instance to be unique. So we instance everything. This next number or variable right here after that part is the item's ID that you'll find in the database that gives you the definition of what it created. So if I drop 2 park benches in the scene, each one's going to have their own thing mold. The ID would be the same because they're both park benches, but the instances are tied to where they're placed in the scene. So you can have 1 park bench here and 1 park bench here, same design, same buildings, same park bench, but at the same time there's different instances of it, and each one has their own location. That brings me to what we call the connecting grid. The connecting grid is like dropping a pin in the map. If I drop a pin in the map, I basically tell you that this is where I'm putting this park bench. It tells me I've got the position, the scaling, and the rotation of that object put in that exact location. So if I put a thing inside of a building, or if I put a thing inside of a community, or if I put a building inside of a community, each one has a connecting grid telling it where it's at. So the next part of the name is the connecting grid. You have the instance that it's running, which no two things have the same instance. So every connecting grid has its own instance. And then you have the definition ID of this. Now the connecting grid is the parent of the item that you're working with. So the connecting grid or that item right there is always going to be the parent object of the one you're working with. So you get the full structure, the tree of what connects to what right there in the name. So you have its own instance and ID right in the database of what item it created. Then you have the instance and then the ID of the connecting grid that put it there. Then we have the description of what it is. In this case, it's a Babylon file. If you look close enough, you're going to see some that say there would be a connecting grid. This one here, there's the box. That's the box we put in the scene. Okay, come on. Here we go. There's our box. And see, we put this transparent box in here. So that is the box. That would be the item's ID. Visibility is true. It tells you a little extra information when you print it out, such as parent. It tells you again what the parent is, which happens to match. There's times when an item can be parented to a action zone. I don't want to get too technical, but if it's a door that moves as part of a hinge, then the action zone would be the parent, and the action zone's parent would be the connecting grid. So just a little trivial thing there. Don't want to get too much into that, but it tells you how things are connected together. So, and then if it's visible currently in the scene or not, that helps you decide what's shown in the scene and what is not shown in the scene because you're not close enough to it. So if it hides it, it won't show it in the scene. Now beyond those items, we have an action zone right here. This one is, and notice this one tells us it's a load zone. The action zones will tell you if it's a swinging door, or if it's a load zone, or if it's a sliding door, or if it's a rotation, if it's a ride-along. Whatever it is, it'll tell you in there. Okay, now that we've gone through a little bit of that, you can specifically say, I want to see just a list of the building molds or the community molds, and there they are. I can get a list of just the connecting grids, and there's all my connecting grids. I can get the action zones. There's all the action zones. I can get the building molds, thing molds, and community molds. Automations are something we're working on. That's going to allow you to sequence, do this. Now when you're done with that, go ahead and do this. Now when you're done with that, do this. And you can create a sequence for something to run on. That's part of Autobots. Let's say you have a bird that's going to walk around and then fly away, or fly around in a circle, land, and then do it all over again and stuff. Where the automations are part of programming Autobots. The last thing is list loaded objects. And this one helps you with things like loaded objects have to do with your Babylon files and different items that are loaded in the scene. So it may tell you some additional things like there's images loaded or whatever it needed to complete the scene. So it just depends on what it is and what you're trying to do for what that one is useful or not. But current meshes tend to show you everything, and you can section out certain ones. We'll add more items on there as they become relevant. But that's just some developer tools that we've added to help you decide what you're going to see. And the last one I'm going to show you in settings is web aliases. This is kind of cool. By default, you get the scene that you are currently working in. So you have 3D, this is the name of this. This is the site that I created. So this is there. So for the home page, when we did the initial wizard, it created this domain name, and it automatically said, if you type in this path and hit this server, this is the site you're going to see. If you click edit, it'll tell you, oh, Aaronland, you're going to open Aaronland. That's the only one I have right now. Okay, so I'm going to cancel that. Now, if I say add new, one of the things you can do is you can point a new domain name. So if you point another domain name to your server, you can just type it in here. I want .net to automatically open a different website or whatever. you can tell it which domain name to use, and you can tell it which community to use. So download, create another community, or even copy this one over, or use the same one and have two names point to the same site. The other thing you can do is using the same domain name. If I say community level, it allows me to use the same domain name, but set no matter what word I want it to be, as part of the path. So we have https 3d.http3d.org and then city, and it'll automatically go to, and you can tell it which community to load. You can also do the same with building in a community. You can do a community level and a building level and make it automatically start in front of that building or in front of a different building if you have multiple buildings in your scene. And you can even go thing in a building in front of a community, and you can start it very precise of where you want it to start. The other thing is you can load just the building, and you can tell it which one to do. So this one, so I like using all lowercase, so just to do it, I'm going to call this coffee, for example, and I'm going to save that web alias. Now I have this path right here, and it's going to load just the building. So when I open that website on this server, first of all, you got to pick your avatar when you do something. Notice I get just the building loaded. So I basically can go in here and browse just the building without any land around it or anything. This is part of the concept of WalkTheWeb. The idea is I'm going to be able to share this building. So I have my store. I configured it. I customized it. I made it whatever I wanted it to be. I can have my store, and then I can drop it into different communities. So I can babysit and take care of one store, edit one store, and yet many different communities, scenes, can have that same store in it. I make one change and every scene gets the new version of it. The true thing behind WalkTheWeb, though, is it doesn't have to be on your server. So you get somebody else with a server over there and you say, hey, I want to advertise my store on your thing. Work out a deal with them, whatever you want to do. Let's say they're running a miniature golf game, and you say, hey, I'd love to put my t-shirt shop on your miniature golf game. They go good together. It would draw more people to the miniature golf. It would also, their miniature golf would draw more people to my store. That's the concept. You put your store in their game scene, and next thing you know, they get more viewers, you get more viewers seeing your store, you're selling more t-shirts, everybody's happy. So the whole idea is mixing and matching. The cool part about being able to open up the building by itself is we are designing the multiplayer system so that I can come into my store, for example, and I can actually work in 3D. I can work my store. Now, I'm working my store by itself, not in a particular scene. I can be in a particular scene, but if I choose not to be in a particular scene, now anybody in any scene that this store is in, if they walk into my store or start approaching near my store and it loads even partially, I'll see them in my multiplayer scene, and I can talk to them and interact with them and work with them and sell them products or even suggest products. I'm going to set it up. It's not there yet, but I'm going to set it up where you can type, as a store owner, you can type certain things in, and all the products on the shelves would turn to what they want. So in the future, the other part is you're going to be able to talk to them. You are not going to have to type and text everything. Right now, multiplayer works. If you click on somebody, you'll bring up a chat window and you can type back and forth. So we already have that in place. But we're going to make it where you can physically talk to them too. And even video conference with the person you want to, if you choose to. That's heading in the works. It'll be here, and yeah, we'll get it going. We're working on some things to get those in place. But the idea is, let's say you're a store owner, you can hire part-time help to work from home and actually work a store for you. Anybody comes in, they automatically jump in there, start talking to them and selling products and help promote your products. We're talking about more than just going to an online store. Remember, this is an online store. So instead of people just going here and going, okay, I might want this t-shirt or sweatshirt. Let's look at it. Yeah, I'll buy it. Maybe not. Maybe not. I'm looking at it. Whatever. Okay, instead of doing that, they can be going in here and you say, hey, look, we got hoodies. and all of a sudden all the products on the shelf change to, yeah, we have hoodies. Have you seen our hoodies? Ooh, hey, this is pretty cool. And yet they can still click and read more and see the hoodie. They can see a particular product. And they can actually click add to cart and buy it right then and there. While you're chatting with them, while you're talking to them, while you actually get a chance to sell them the product. Say, if they have a question, they can say, oh, well, did it come in medium? Hey, yeah, by the way, of course we have medium. Just click right there and you got medium, or sales assistant, click, 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 here's the medium version for you, and all of a sudden it shows up on their screen. We're going to make it where you can assist people and work your stores. So you pay part-time help, they work your store, and you make more sales just because they're assisting the customers beyond anything you ever imagined in the past. This is Walk the Web. So now in this scene, look here. I started with that same little scene that we had before, but now I'm adding things in here. I've got a little shopping cart. Oh, you want to buy 3D glasses? Guess what? Oh, I want to buy glasses. You pop this up, and next thing you know, you've got the option to buy 3D glasses. Hey, there we go. Oh, $5, you get 3 pairs. Okay, cool. I want to do that. Flat rate, envelope pay, blah, 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 blah. Proceed to checkout, and boom. I'm selling them 3D glasses, and they're already being delivered to their house. You can also come in here, and there can be multiple stores. So this one over here can have products for a different store. People can see through windows, and they can say, oh, I like that product, or whatever, and go inside and make the purchase, or click on items to see more and stuff. We have gaming components, so you're going to be able to jump in this boat and drive it around. Others are going to be able to jump in the boat and take a ride with you. We got some cool stuff coming. Yeah, so we got some cool stuff. We're going to mix games and stuff. We're going to have boat races. We're going to bring all kinds of cool stuff up here, and we're going to keep on adding. But remember, these are all just plugins that we add to current scenes. On your second to last break, doing pretty good. Just creating a nice video here. Show some people where we are and some of the latest stuff that we dropped into scenes. But see, we have certain stores where, hey, yeah, okay, this particular store, they sell a product, and it looks like this item right here, except, you know, miniature. For like if somebody's in intensive care in the hospital, they can't have real flowers. So this person created a product, my message bouquet, and what they do is it comes with a pen and extra petals. You write on the petals and you tuck them in and click them right onto the flower. So your message is on the actual flower. Very cool stuff. And if you like that kind of stuff, you can go right inside, shop at this store, and you can click add to cart. You can read more, buy more. We can add those buttons anywhere you need them to be. You can check out the box, the packaging, all this stuff. You know, really cool stuff. It's all in here. So that's just one thing. You can also advertise other people's businesses. For example, Matt Calla Insurance. And on his particular one, he's an insurance company, and we're adding some desks, and we're going to add some people in there helping with insurance. We have everything from this building over here where I'm creating a new building and playing around with some stuff with that one. We have some other stores that we're creating that... Like when you're walking down the block, like I said, not everything's loaded until you get towards it. So as you start coming down this direction, you go, oh, what's over here? Now all of a sudden, here's some new buildings that we're working on. We have a store in one of these places. Yeah, thanks. Awesome. Be back though. Okay, sounds good. And you can always catch, if I'm not here, you can always catch me on Discord. Links down below, click on Discord, and at any time you can get the link for Discord. You can join us on Discord and find me there. So if you don't see me here and you got a question, or you want to create a plugin, you want somebody to kind of guide you and work on things, then I'm there to help. I want to make this successful and whatever it takes. So we have a new store right here that has, you know, kind of a cool setup. And as you walk closer, the products will load inside. Okay, it's closer. I got to be that close to get them to load. I got to step into the load zone before they load. And you can have different products in there. You can also come over here, and I'm building a new building and just checking out the size of this one. So this one will have a nice, really cool display case in the front. I'm doing some ceiling lighting and all kinds of cool stuff in this one. We're actually streaming a separate stream where we're actually building that building, and I'll take you through all the paces. So you can join us at a later date, and I'll be working some more on that building. But we've created a little beach over here, and When you get close enough, there's even a lifeguard tower on the beach. So we keep on building things, keep on adding to the different scenes. There's all kinds of cool stuff we're working on. But as you can see, this is basically, you have your plugins, and by activating your plugins and stuff, in this one, I've created one called 3D Internet. This is the one that you're going to be able to download, and you're going to be able to turn your scene into a multiplayer environment just by clicking, and boom, you're up and running. Now, we will charge for services. You can do global logins and allow that for free with the 3D Internet. There's going to be some other stuff I give you for free, but then there's also going to be some paid services. So if you decide, I want a multiplayer environment and I want to use my multiplayer server to allow it to happen, then you just basically pay a yearly fee. It'll be nominal. Don't worry, it won't kill you. But at the same time, it supports us running the servers, and at the same time, you get a 3D scene, or you get a multiplayer scene just by clicking a button and turning it on. That comes with chat. That comes with all kinds of cool stuff that we'll be doing some voice over IP in the future, and some streaming audio, streaming video. We'll be doing all kinds of cool stuff. So bear with us. We'll keep adding plugins and keep adding features. If you're a programmer and you want to create things, or if you're an artist and you want to create things for scenes, help yourself. There's all kinds of ways you can create things and share them. We'll be adding in a marketplace so people can buy your created items, so you don't have to give them all away for free. And, well, make a reputation for yourself and then sell your products. Different things. You can create custom buildings for people that have stores. You can create games for people that want to have a game with their store to draw attention to their stores. You know, it's all about creating an environment that makes it friendly for businesses and friendly for everybody to have fun and play games in them. It's an environment. It's Walk the Web. Once you have that, then you build from there the different items that you want to create to scenes. You can add 3D artwork. You can add 3D models. One of the things, as I was designing this whole system, one of the items we had is that I noticed on the internet, you can go out here and you can just type free 3D models. Okay? And you just type that in. Anywhere you go, there's CG Trader, there's Turbo Squid, there's Free 3D, Sketchfab. All these different ones are available, and when you go to them, I'll go through this one this time. I'm not picking on any particular one. Notice they have cool things that they've already built, no matter what it is. The thing about it is they are pieces of art. Some of these things are really great, and what Walk the Web does is it lets you grab these items and use them in your scenes, because you can upload them. You can use Blender to convert them into Babylon files, or if they're already like an OBJ file, or this one has Blender, for example, you can download the Blender file, and there's certain ones. OBJ can go right into scenes natively. So there's certain things that we can look for and we can do, but if you create them in ways, export them as Blender or Babylon, or as one of the ones that Babylon supports, then basically you can put it right in your scene. So every single thing that these people are doing, just to do it, we're gonna show you more than just one of them, like CG Trader. Fair is fair. But all these people created some brilliant things. There's everything from avatars, there's full-on cars, there's some really cool creations. There's furniture, there's everything you can imagine in here. And there's poly count. If you want to do low poly count, they work the best in the scenes. So, but all these different models and all these different things that they do, and just to be fair, we're going to go to Turbo Squid too and see all the various things that they have. There's a bunch of cool stuff. Some of these are already rigged. So yes, we have rigged animations. You can actually use them and put them right into your scenes with the animations. Lot of cool stuff. Animated bike, somebody riding a bike. That's cool stuff. Space shuttle. We're talking about, you can create some really cool scenes with this stuff. So what I noticed was all these different places, Sketchfab, we'll go to all of them, give you guys a fair chance, and see bulldozer in your scene. You can, when you say my site's under construction, you can make it a construction zone if you wanted to. We have, there's a whale, there's, so your ocean scenes, there's avatars, there's all kinds of cool stuff that are created in scenes. There's scenery, there's guns, there's everything you'd want to know in these different items. These are things that people already created and share them. So you can use those particular items, bring them right into scenes using the media library, 3D objects, upload them right in here, the primary file. Then when you get the primary file, all you have to do is upload any other files that go along with it, so if there's graphics or whatever. And you can even turn on different animations and set them to mouse over or set them when they load, unload, or whatever type of thing you need. Put all the animations in there. Then when you put it in a scene, it's animated and running and up and going. Everything's ready to go. So really cool stuff. Really, really cool stuff. We'll be sharing some more of these items of 3D objects that are already prepared for WalkTheWeb and already kind of cleaned up and going. You get a handful of them I've already distributed with it that we've worked on and worked with and stuff, so that you can have some items when you begin, some common things that you may want or use. There's also WalkTheWeb downloads. So these are items that people have created that they've shared. So you can type in like a keyword. Let's say I'm looking for display cases. If I type in display cases, okay, and we have, do we have anything? Let me just type display. It's a keyword search, so it's like single words works better. There's a table you can put things on. Here's display case, glass display case that's half height. Here's a bigger one. Here's an L-shaped. There's all kinds of different things that I've created and thrown in here, and some others are starting to throw things in. You can pick what you want to use. All you have to do is click on it. Watch this. If I have an item that I want, I'm going to do this in the sample that we just created because I've already got a lot of items loaded. If I come in here and I decide, hey, I want something, 3D things. Notice right now I only have a couple different 3D things in here. And I decide, okay, I want some more 3D things. I can click Add New, and it takes me to that same screen. I can come in here and type, I don't think I have any trees yet. I'll add trees. Let's say table, for example. I can type table, and there's a table there. There's another, okay, desktop tables or display cases. Here's a table. I go, ooh, I like that table. I can click on it. And it added it right now. Table, rectangular, bar height table right there. I can also click on it here, and it'll automatically be editing it, opening it, and using it. See, it's this simple to grab items and now use them into your scenes. That's why we package them where they're already ready to load, they're already ready to use them, and you're already ready to do everything with it. You have your avatar, you have your table, and now you can drop it into buildings and communities and use them in your scenes. It's that easy to share and get objects for your scenes. Okay, that's what this is all about. Okay, so now we've gone through quite a few things. We've shown you the store functionality. We've shown you the way you can use the media library and get new items. We've talked about how the communities are the scenes. The buildings are either buildings or areas within a scene that you want, let's say a soccer field, or you want a building, physical building, or you want a floor of a building to be its own building. You can load them as you walk closer and unload them as you walk away. You can use, custom load zones, all kinds of fun stuff. I'll go into some more of that stuff in some specific lessons in the future. But right now you can do all that. We have 3D avatars, so we get your different avatars that you load up, and we can set it up so you can load up different avatars. Right now we have anonymous, and we have your default avatars you can choose from. We're setting it up where you'll be able to, in the future, load your own avatars, or pick in a particular scene what avatar you want to use. So let's say I have a medieval scene and I'm only allowing medieval avatars. I can have some default ones so people can select from. There'll also be where you can upload custom ones and people can use their own avatars. You've seen Ready Player One? I want to create that. And this will do that with the multiplayer. It will do it with the ability to do custom avatars in the future. We're going to put that stuff in here and get it going so you can actually do it in the scenes. We have avatar groups, and we're going to be able to tie them to the scenes, as I mentioned. So we're doing some really cool stuff with all these things. Okay? It's that simple. Here's where we're playing around in the background. We've got a clubhouse, and we're writing out different ideas, and we're putting things together. We have our Discord, which I've talked about, and we run different things in our Discord. So basically you can come in there, find me. I hang out as I'm doing things in coding. I'll put things in WWW chat. As I complete items, you'll see them pre-release, so you'll know that I'm already putting them in GitHub, and you'll know which items I've just fixed or things I've worked on. You can let me know in WWW chat or WTW chat Walk the Web chat. If there's anything that you need me to take a look at, I often hang out in here, so if you want to talk, we can talk directly about your ideas, and I'll partner with you on something if you want to create something and you need some assistance. That kind of stuff is available. Announcements, you'll see when we do new releases. You'll see when we create new things. You'll, different things we're doing on. You're going to get different released whenever we do a new release, which is once a month at this point. At the end of every month, we do a release, so we've got all the latest stuff out there. We're actively developing on this project. It will be promoted and it will be continued on. But you'll get to different things. We're working on updating the WordPress plugin. This plugin allowed you to take it from the other side. I've already showed you how you could create your own server with a store on it. This allows you to take it from WordPress side, use the plugin for Walk the Web. You can actually go in here, you've got your WordPress site, you've got your store in WooCommerce. Well, using this plugin, you can actually download it and you can create a 3D store just by selecting your scene, select your building, type in a couple bit of information of what you want to call your building or whatever, and create a Walk the Web account and click a button and you're up and running with your store with all your products in the store and everything ready to go. So this is being updated currently. We're looking at aiming for by the end of September in our next release, we want to have this plugin updated. So I'm currently coding it. You'll get the latest version of this, which will be the high definition graphics, the multiplayer environment, everything. That's what I'm aiming for this month. So bear with us on that and we'll get it out there. You have Walk the Web, that's where you can download and host your own version of it. Or the other part that we're going to do in this is you're going to be able to use my 3d.walktheweb.com site with the subdirectory underneath it for free, and you can get your 3D store up and running for free. If you want to use your own domain name, we'll let you do in-app updates, and you'll get to use your own domain name on my server, and we'll use it as a hosted service. You can upgrade with the multiplayer. You can do all kinds of things that you're going to be able to do in-game, updates and stuff. So bear with me. 1 month away, we'll have that up and running. And also in GitHub, if you look at the root directory, we have Walk the Web. We also have Walk the Web comes with WTW Avatars plugin and the shopping plugin. And when we're done at the end of the month, it'll come with 3D Internet plugin. So bear with me on those and we'll get them out there for you. And also, when we release the ability to create your own avatars, we're going to release the Blender files for the current avatars, so you can actually take one, download it, and then just mock up the current avatar instead of creating one from scratch if you want. So there'll be some stuff you can do. Okay, so just letting you know, that's in the works. That's some of the latest stuff we're doing. That's where we're heading with this. If there's any questions, if there's anything you'd like to talk about, find me on Discord. Let me bring that up on the screen one more time. Check out this link, join Discord, find me in there, and you'll be able to get out there and do different things. Catch me on there. You can talk to me live. You can text, leave messages for me there. Everything you want. I want to thank. There's a couple people Hey, show love one. Yes, okay. It's Udio. Thank you so much for following me. I appreciate that. And to those of you who have also subscribed, we appreciate that all the time. We're going to keep on working on this. We're going to keep on creating more and more. We're making a worldwide 3D internet free for everyone to join, free to everybody to host a server, and then there's going to be some paid upgrades if you'd like to get some products from our services. You're welcome to use them if you'd like to use your own. It's an open source product. There's a lot of things you can do. We're gonna make it where you can be successful in your different programs. So create your games, create your 3D stores, create your custom buildings, create your 3D models and everything else. We'll bring them all together and make it into 3D games and 3D scenes. And basically, everybody will have places to go, multiplayer and all, where you can walk around and you can create things and do everything you want. So it's time for everyone to walk the web. I know that sounded so awkward, didn't it? Let me try that again. It's time to walk the web. Everyone, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you again soon. My next update, we'll be talking about some more things that we've thrown in here. And on the way, we'll also be showing some scenes of how to do different things. I'm doing a series currently on creating a 3D building from Blender all the way through to putting it into scene and making it all successful. So welcome to join me on those tutorials. But thank you so much for following me and for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.